that's perfectly great, because what they're really seeking for is the archetype of masculinity. And then it unfolds from that point. You find a good teacher, you find a good school, and you're on your way. And I'm all supportive of that, because what they're missing is the heroic element.
So when you say they're missing the archetype of masculinity, what to you embodies masculinity, and can you expound upon that a little bit?
Yeah, it's basically heroism, isn't it? It's if you go to the most grossest mundane level, without some airy-fairy stuff attached to it, then it's just meeting reality as it is, and getting your hands dirty with, by the soil, and working, building a bridge. Only 10% of our world should be voting. And the only people who should vote are the ones who are building the bridges, laying down the infrastructure, paving the roads, setting in the wires, you know what I mean? And generally taking care of what we call a city. All the rest are just fucking parasites, right? They shouldn't have a vote, men or women. And so the type that is engaged with what reality is, who, like in the Nietzschean sense, right? Those guys are the masculine ones. And that's just on the crudest level. Going up to the next level, maybe semi-philosophically, then they're the outsiders. Right now, this has been pointed out by Gustave Le Bon and many other thinkers, Julius Evola, René Guénon, and many others. And I'm not wearing the T-shirt here. I'm just going to extrapolate. My ideas run along these same lines, but I've got differences with a lot of these things, right? But basically, what that school is saying is that, look, these people are outsiders, so they don't want to join no crowd. And people like Gustave Le Bon have even gone so far as to say that the Latin temperament is collectivized, whereas the Anglo-Saxon temperament isn't. And, this has been picked up by even people like Alfred Rosenberg and all. Many, many people thought like this. And it's just a simple way of explaining that the Anglo-Saxon consciousness, right, is a loner. The male, especially the male. And the women who support him support that aspect of his alphaness, the alpha male. But through to his core, right down to his essence, the Anglo-Saxon Caucasian man is an outsider. And when he gets together in a tribe, those tribes tend to be smaller, and those tribes tend to be favoring that the leader, or the chieftain spends a lot of time on his own and goes on walkabouts, and basically his connection with his tribe is a mercurial one. It's not collectivized. He's living with people, but he doesn't have a collectivistic mindset, right? Now that is another level of masculinity. In our age right now, it's girl power, right? The woman is the most highly collectivized creature, and then most of the men that follow them, sort of a eunuch type, the emasculated type, they would also be collectivistic in the sense that Gustave Le Bon is talking about. The very word city actually comes from the word citus, which is for the vagina. So there's, the woman is the urbanite, and the woman is the collectivistic. 5 minutes in nature, it's all over, right? The man who's heroic and the man who's masculine can handle nature, and even prefers it. So if he was given a magic wand to say, what kind of life would you have? Now, it's not living in an apartment in Shanghai. No guesses. It's not living in Hong Kong. The man would want to live near a river, in an open plain, with forests and horses around him, the open sky. America is the proof in the pudding of that. People watching those westerns, not ancient, but the recent westerns, showed that even in Europe, that became a huge genre. Why? So what I'm saying is backed up by empirical evidence. So there's a whole question of urbanization and collectivism being anti-masculine. So, this is just to touch on a few of the points. There's so many things that one could say about that. And then on a higher spiritual term, well, it's just the man who then, his thinking is completely outside the box, religiously, psychologically, socially, economically. He's completely outsider. He's an Emerson, a Rilke, a Heidegger, somebody who's totally broken from all the conventions. And then at that point, then he becomes what I call a sage. But of course, don't hold your breath, right? You're not going to be running into any of those at any time soon.